Hi. Oh.
Good morning. Very warm welcome to today's Q&A from the University of Suffolk. Thank you so much for joining us in today's live session. My name's Owen. I'm going to be hosting this morning's session, and I'm very pleased to say that I'm with three experts from the university representing the admissions department, international applications and accommodation here at the university. Before I introduce my panel, just to let you know, you can post any questions that you might have for us to answer about the university, any queries that you might have directly into the chat there on Facebook or YouTube. They'll come through to us and we'll do our very best to answer any questions that come through. Remember, today is all about you. We want to know what your questions are, and we want you to get the best possible answers. So do ask anything you want to know about the University of Suffolk. But before that, I will introduce our wonderful panel that we've got with us today. So Jenny, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Jenny. I'm one of the student life advisors, and I'm here to answer any questions about accommodation that you may have today.
Mike?
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Macias. I'm the International Recruitment Manager for the University of Suffolk. I'm here to answer any questions that are non-UK based prospective applicants might have regarding studying in the UK, and with us specifically as well.
And Holly.
Hi, my name is Holly. I'm the Admissions Manager at the University of Suffolk, so I can answer any questions you might have about making an application, the application process, or getting ready to start at the University of Suffolk.
Thank you very much. So we've got an all-star cast with us today. I'm sure we'll be able to answer any questions that come along. I'm from the recruitment and outreach team, so we kind of answer questions about anything else that our three experts can't answer today. So hopefully we'll be able to get the answers you're looking for. Just as your questions are coming in, we had a few questions come in by email overnight. So I've got one for you already, Mike. Someone has asked, could you tell us just a little bit more about Ipswich and the University of Suffolk? I'm from overseas and I don't know the area. Could you just give us a little bit background behind it, please?
Sure. Let me just start. I want to caveat before I speak is that that noise you can hear in the background is my puppy. So I do apologise. I can assure you I've not got any children locked up anywhere that are making that noise. It's my dog. Okay, so yes, of course. So Ipswich, University of Suffolk, we're based in a town called Ipswich, which is on the east coast of England. It's quite a large town, and it's a very student-centric town as well. So it has all the needs that not just international students will require, but also British students as well. It's very close. It's a 10-minute walk to the train station. The Stansted Airport is approximately 1 hour away by car. It's as I said, it's very student centric. So there's bars, restaurants, clubs, everything you need is within walking distance. You do not need to get a taxi anywhere. It's very friendly, diverse community as well. And just about University of Suffolk in general, we became our own outright university in itself in 2016. So we're one of the youngest, more modern universities in the country. And also as well, it's, our student population on our main campus is approximately 5,000 students. So if you're the type of student that, you don't like to get lost in a crowd, you'd like to stand out and feel sort of, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's true, feel a bit more as part of a family. It really is a sort of an ideal place to be. So like I said, you'll never feel alone. And as I'm sure Jenny will touch on, going forward about accommodation, we have on-campus accommodation as well, which makes it, this really adds to that community feel.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Mike. Sounds amazing. Jenny, we've got a question coming about accommodation. So basically, can you tell us if the accommodation at the uni is still open, and can you tell us a little bit more about what's available?
Yes, so if you're looking to start a course with us this coming September or this coming academic year, there are still rooms available, both on campus, and that building is called Athena Hall, and off campus as well within our accreditation scheme. So Athena Hall is probably sort of the most preferred choice for first year students. It's on campus. It's about 300 yards from the building I'm currently sitting in at the moment, which is like the main hub building. All en suite bedrooms, shared flats. There are studio rooms for mature students or any student couples that are coming to us. And then off campus, there are halls, but on a much smaller scale, and shared houses as well. And we do help students in any year of study. So it's not just for first year students. If you like where you live in your first year, you could stay there all 3 years, or you can chop and change each year with in many of the different accommodations that we recommend. So yes, all still available at this time for September.
Fantastic. I think that the fact that they're all en suite is a real selling point, isn't it, for Athena Hall? I know that's one of the first things students often ask me when they're asking about accommodation. So if you are, I can definitely recommend Athena Hall. Very modern, and yeah, you get your own bathroom, which is fantastic. Lauren has asked if there are any plans set for starting in September yet. Any dates? If not, when will we hear? Will we have an induction day? Now, guys, please feel free to jump in. As far as I'm aware, we haven't actually got the dates set for September. The timetabling is still in process. I would imagine, going on previous years, that it will be somewhere in mid-September will be the start, and that's when Freshers Week will begin. Usually the induction, it will be in your first week. So when we get that start date, during your first week, you'll have enrollment and induction. So again, we're probably talking around mid-September. The dates, again, we don't have a date for when we'll be able to tell you the date, if that makes sense. But I should have thought that by July or August, we'll have things set in place and we'll be able to let you know. If you have an offer to study with us, we will let you know straight away. Comms will go out to you. But again, if you'll be able to check on our homepage on the website where there's a dedicated page on there for starting this September with information about induction and enrolment, etc. Mike, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sorry, thank you, Owen. There's usually a virtual hand you could put up, and there was also yeah, I just wanted to just to add to that for our international audience there as well. Typically, what we do for our non-UK based students who are travelling over, we begin communication with our incoming students. A couple of months in advance, we send you out a communication about like start dates, induction dates, and we also. What we do is, as a university, to try and make, because we recognise and we empathise that students coming from another country, it can be somewhat daunting, somewhat challenging. So we always make sure that we put on an international induction week as well, which usually precedes the formal induction week for the wider student population, and that week is typically given to you as our international students to help you bed in. To help you settle in, and where you have the full focus of our student services staff and your international support team as well. And as Owen said, communication with that for our international induction week will go out in advance.
Brilliant. Holly, please.
Just to say, for anyone wanting to look, the applicant area will be where you'd find induction dates. So there's a section on there called Getting Started. Like Owen said, it's not quite set for September, but I also know there is a online kind of induction program that people who've been made and accepted offers will be invited to join before the start of the course. You can engage with that from home.
Brilliant, thanks. Just while you're there, Holly, we had an email come in yesterday from Jeremy who said he was interested in clearing but wasn't quite sure how it works. Could you give us a quick rundown on clearing?
Yeah, so clearing, I guess, is essentially late application. So lots of people think of it as only for people who get A-level results and maybe don't get into their first choice of university. But actually, clearing starts from the beginning of July, and it's open to people who applied through UCAS maybe and didn't receive any offers or chose to decline offers that they had been made, or someone who maybe hadn't applied to university before that point. So you can apply through clearing essentially by contacting universities directly. I'd recommend having a look on the website, familiarising yourself with the courses and the entry requirements, and then contacting university and saying you're interested, and they can kind of talk you through your suitability, for example, if you don't quite meet the entry requirements, but they might still be able to consider you, and just have a chat about all the other things that you might need to have a think about if you were successful, because obviously it's a bit of a shorter amount of time to prepare for university. But I'd say there's maybe a bit more worry about applying through clearing, but essentially it's just another way to apply to a university. And at the University of Suffolk as well, we're happy to take applications and to support people as much as we can in getting them onto the right course for them.
So Holly, I know that not everyone's working on campus at the moment at university. If someone was interested in clearing, would they still be able to phone up? Will people be able to answer the phones? Can they do it that way?
Yep, so the admissions team and the info zone team have been on the phones throughout the past year. So we're working remotely, but still on the phones. So you can give us a call. The number will be on our website once clearing opens from the 1st of July. And we'll also have an online clearing application form on our website as well. So if you're not happy talking on the phone, you can fill out the form online. If you feel like you'd like to have a chat with someone before you apply, then give us a call and we can answer all of those questions you have and take you through an application over the phone. So there's options for everyone.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for clearing that up. Mike, I was doing one of these sessions last week and I was speaking to a lady from India who was interested in applying. She was asking something called a Tier 4 visa and how she would go about getting one of those to study with us. Could you run us through the process of getting visas for people that might need them to study here?
Sure. Okay. So Tier 4 visa, I mean, we've recently seen quite a big shake-up with sort of the government in terms of, obviously, as a result of Brexit and how these things are issued. So it's still commonly referred to as Tier 4, but it's sort of now, it's evolving into what is now called the student route visa. So in terms of the process, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is quite long. It is quite arduous, as Holly's there shaking her head. She knows well about that. But the wonderful thing about it for all our international applicants who require student route visa or Tier 4 visa, there is so much support there from not just our staff but there's a lot of things online, a lot of guidance online, which again we will share links with for that. And on our website, it really is the best place because we only have as I see 48 minutes left of this Facebook Live session. It's not long enough to possibly go through everything with the whole process for it. But we have very comprehensive instructions online about how to apply for the Tier 4 visa and the process that's involved in that. So we'll post that on there now. But as I say, you've got so much support from not just our wonderful admission staff, but also myself and my team at the international team for supporting you with any guidance and any assistance that you require with that.
Wonderful.
If I've missed out anything pertinent there, Holly, please interject.
Nothing pertinent, I guess. Say if you are applying as an international student, and obviously now we have slightly more international students, hopefully, because learners coming from the EU require a visa now. If you are made an offer, admissions and colleagues from the international team will get in touch with you and kind of really set out exactly what you need to provide at the right stage. So we'll send you quite explicit instructions and support you through getting the right documentation together. But I think Mike mentioned we have a page on our website that talks about the specific documentation requirements for a student route visa. So have a look there and get in touch if you do have any more questions.
Thank you very much, Mike and Holly. We've had a question come in from Angie, and Angie's asking about student clubs at university. Jenny, would you better tell us a little bit about clubs and societies and what we've got available, how that works at university?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a very active students' union, and they offer many clubs, societies, sports as well. So they have not just competitive sports such as football, hockey, etc., but they also have social sports as well. So if you particularly like a Zumba class or badminton just for fun, running clubs, etc., lots of different opportunities there. But they also run social clubs as well. So I think in the past we've had chess clubs, debate clubs, anime clubs. And the best thing about it is if there is a particular club that you're interested in and it doesn't currently exist, if you can drum up enough support, the union will actually help you start your own club or society. So there's really no limit as to the various options that are available when you're a student here.
Wow, that's amazing. Mike, I know you've been involved in some of the clubs here at the university, haven't you?
I have, yes. I coached the inaugural women's team. It was the first 11-a-side women's team the football team, that we had as a university. It was tremendous fun. Everyone enjoyed themselves. We were also quite possibly the worst football team in the history of university Bucks sports. I would say that was less down to the girls and more down to my lack of coaching ability, I think. But the great thing about it is it was such good fun. It was such a good laugh. All of the young women involved, just they created memories that they'll take with them for the rest of their lives when they reflect back on their time at university, which is the number one thing of why people come to universities, to try and make friends, create memories, obviously aside from getting a first class degree, that is as well. But it was, and the camaraderie and the spirit amongst them. And what was really good to see as well was that, again, you had students or people coming from all different backgrounds, all different walks of life. I see a question in the chat there about what's the diversity level at the university. It's diverse. I mean, Suffolk in itself is a very diverse county. The UK in itself, as a country, we are a very diverse country. So you will meet students, human beings from all different walks of life, all races, sexes, creeds, religions. Everyone comes together, and that's one of the things that makes me proud to be British, and that's one of the things that makes me proud to work at the University of Suffolk, is that seeing that all these communities come together. And as I said, I was coaching a women's football team, and there were young women in there that have never kicked a ball in their lives, but that's not what they signed up for. They signed up to meet new people and have fun, and that's what it was about.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, just go on the back of that, really, the clubs and societies are a fantastic way to meet people when you first come to university. Especially if you're coming as a first year, you'll probably find that everyone's a little anxious. It's completely normal to be anxious and worried when you get to university. Everyone's desperate to make friends, and meeting people who are interested in the same things as you, or even trying something completely new, is a great way to meet people when you get here to university. So definitely check out the student union page, find out what clubs and societies would offer, and find out what's good for you. So we've had a couple of questions coming from Angie, and Angie says this will be her first time away from home, and she's a bit worried if she gets upset and misses home. So again, just on that, Angie, before I get an expert answer, I would say that everyone is probably going to miss home when they move to university for the first time. You will not be alone. It's perfectly normal, and that's part of moving away from home, and that's part of going to university. So you definitely won't be alone, and I'm sure you'll receive support from the people you're living with, from your classmates, etc. But Jenny, do you know what support the university could offer in a situation like this?
Absolutely. And so you've got the InfoZone team. We might be called Student Life by the time you get here. We're having a bit of a name change. Also the Students' Union as well. So that there's lots of various support systems at the university. So don't be afraid to reach out. We're not scary. We don't bite. So please do come and see us if you're having any concerns, or you're just feeling that everything's a bit new. And if you're in some of the larger accommodations as well, such as Athena Hall, they actually have quite a social schedule as well. So they'll have icebreakers in the first few weeks when you arrive, meet and greet sessions. And the best thing to do, even if it feels really scary and you don't know anybody, everybody's in the same boat. So the best thing to do is throw yourself into them, get involved with all the icebreakers and the meet and greet sessions, get to know everybody. And if you're living in halls of residence or anything like that, might be an idea if you and your flatmates decide to have a meal in together, get to know each other. Or if you're any good at baking, maybe bake a cake or some brownies or something, so that the flat can get together and just get to know everybody. But really sort of throwing yourself in there and getting involved really is the best thing you can do. And you may even find with all these different social activities going on, you won't have time to feel lonely, because there will just be so much going on. And one tip from me is to bring something personal from home, whether that be photographs of friends and family, loved ones. If you've got like a childhood toy or a cushion or something that means something special to you, it's nice to bring that with you if you're going to be living in accommodation, so you've got a bit of home with you. And never forget, you can always FaceTime your family as well, so they're only the other end of a phone. So do keep in touch with friends and family at home, as well as making new ones when you arrive.
That's brilliant. It's interesting you mentioned baking there, actually. We've been doing some preparing for uni sessions the last month. And one of the top tips that we've come up with for people in halls of residence is learn to cook or learn to bake now in the 2 or 3 months you've got, because that will be the easiest way to make friends when you get into halls of residence. If you're the one cooking in the kitchen, you can make a meal for everyone, or you can bake a cake. You'll have people queuing up outside your door to come in and want to eat with you. So there you go, something you can do over the summer to get yourself ready for university. We've had another couple of questions come in about accommodation. So I'll read them out to you now, Jenny. Angie again has asked about car parking. Is there some way to park the car, or is it best to leave it at home? And Lauren has asked about accommodation for families.
Okay, so if we start with the parking one, the majority of accommodation that we recommend doesn't have parking facilities. So if you don't need your car for your course, for example, if you're not going out on placements or anything like that, then the best advice is to leave your car at home. Once you arrive in Ipswich, everything is on your doorstep. And if you do need to travel further afield, there's good public transport as well. So you really don't need your car with you once you are here. And there's good public transport links as well for when you do want to go home for the holidays, etc. So please do leave your car at home unless you absolutely need it. If you do absolutely need to have it with you, whether that be because you've got a placement that you need to travel to on your course, or maybe you've got caring responsibilities at home that you need to travel to, or hospital appointments at home, whatever that is, there are a few properties that we recommend that do have car parking available. So if you do need it, then have a look at the accommodation on our website. There is a comparison chart on there, so you can quickly see which properties do offer car parking and maybe start your inquiries with those properties first. That's what I would say is the best advice for car parking. Second question was accommodation for families. Currently at the moment, we're not able to assist families, unfortunately, with accommodation. The accommodation that we recommend is for either individuals or couples at the moment, I'm afraid. We are hoping to grow that in the future, but at the moment we don't actually have our own accommodation. It is all privately run and owned and managed. So we do what we can at the moment, but unfortunately, yeah, it is just individuals or couples at the moment. But hopefully in the future, we'll be able to extend that to families as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jenny. Holly, I had a question last week about someone was asking about responding to offers. So they've got an offer to study with us here at the University of Suffolk, and they were unsure about how to perhaps do it. They heard something about UCAS Track, but they didn't know quite when they needed it to do it by and how they would go about it. Could you very quickly run us through how you would respond to an offer?
Yeah, so if you've applied through UCAS, you hopefully will already know that you engage with your offers through the university through UCAS Track. So you log in, you need your UCAS personal ID number, and then you would have set up a password when you created your account. So make sure that you have those to hand. When you log into UCAS Track, you'll be able to see which of your choices have got back to you yet, to either make you an offer or to say if you're unsuccessful. You can't respond to offers until you've heard back from all of your choices. So you need to wait. If you've applied to 5 different courses, you need to wait until you've heard back on all 5 of those. But once you have heard back from all of those choices, when you log into UCAS Track, you will have the option to respond to your offers. I'm not sure of the exact specifics on Track, but essentially I think you'd click on the offer and then say whether you want to accept as firm. So the choice that if you meet the conditions, you definitely want to go there. You can accept an offer as an insurance choice. We'd always recommend that you accept an insurance choice which has conditions that are slightly lower than your firm choice, because the idea is that if you don't meet the conditions for your firm choice, your insurance choice would hopefully accept you. And then you also would choose to decline any other offers. When you go on to UCAS Track, you will be advised of a deadline by which you need to respond to those offers. The deadline will be individual to you because it will depend on when you heard back from all of your choices, but just make sure you're aware of that deadline so you don't accidentally get timed out, which is when offers are declined on your behalf if you haven't responded by that date. If you do have any questions or you're worried about accessing UCAS Track, then you can contact UCAS directly. They have a customer service team directly for applicants, and they're really helpful and friendly. So if there are any questions you have about the UCAS system, then get in touch with them. They'll be really happy to help you out. If you've applied to the university directly, then you'd respond to your offer via our applicant area. But on any case, if you're a UCAS or a direct applicant, you can also contact the admissions team. We can put the number in the comments, and the team will be happy to kind of guide you through what it is you need to do and try and answer any questions about responding to offers and why you can or can't at which point, if that comes up.
Oh, that's brilliant, Holly. And it's great to know that support is available there from the admissions team. You know, you can just get in touch if you do have any questions or doubts about that. Claire has got in touch to say she's heard about a mentoring scheme for students at the university. Does this support students who are feeling a bit lonely or lost? Jenny, do you know much about the mentoring scheme?
Yes, so the mentoring scheme tries to match a new student with a student who's already been here for a year or two, maybe with similar circumstances, so it might be a similar course, or if they've travelled from overseas, just so that you've got like a buddy, a guide who has maybe been through the situation that you're now starting in, maybe had the same worries that you did when you started, had the same questions, and they can help you negotiate how, you know, your way through university. They can recommend the departments to contact, but it's almost like an instant friend as well. So you've instantly got somebody that you know, and they'll spend time with you, sort of showing you around the university, pointing out all the other things that you can do whilst you're here as well. So yes, becoming if you'd like a mentor, then absolutely you can apply for a mentor, and then once you've done that and you're in your second or third year, you could always give back and become a mentor to a fellow student, as you will know what those experiences were like, and the concerns that you may have had, and you can help somebody else through that path as well.
Wow, that really sounds like a fantastic scheme. Having someone who's been through the process before to sort of help you. That sounds. Just while I've got you here, Jenny, we've had another question come in about health and wellbeing services. So Brandon's asking, what support services does the university offer?
Yeah, so within the Student Life team, formerly Student Services, we do have health and wellbeing advisors, disability and mental health, finance advisors, careers advisors. We do have a counselling service as well. So at any point during your studies, if you do feel that you need to access any of those services, please do know that they are all available to you. They have been throughout the whole of this year as well. So we've been conducting virtual appointments, so you can still see somebody face to face. And we're looking to continue those through the new year as well. So you'll be able to either come and see us in person, or if it's more convenient for a virtual appointment, then those are available as well. So do reach out if you do ever feel that you need one of those services.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know that those services are available, because we often talk about university, about going away, independent study, becoming a more independent person. And we sometimes forget that independence doesn't actually mean doing everything by yourself. You know, there is support there, and independence means, you know, being able to look for that support and find the best path for you. So there is, you know, you're not alone at university. There is a huge amount of support available to you, you know, and InfoZone is always the best place to go. Ask them and they can direct you to the support that you'll need.
I'm very jealous, actually, Owen, because I think I went to university 15 years ago, and there wasn't half of what universities have on offer. I mean, you know, and also we at the University of Suffolk, we do it brilliantly, you know, and staff, we have absolutely fantastic to support students. But just for any of you students that are listening out there that are still undecided about you know, your decision, just to sort of help sort of, you know, reassure you, is that the vast majority of UK universities will offer similar types of services. They might have a slightly different name, but any university worth its salt will offer these types of services as well. You know, so it's just to sort of, you know, allay any fears that you might have that all, you know, one type of university might not have that, or this and that. It is quite a common theme for universities to have these things, but you know, of course, we do it absolutely brilliantly. We do it fantastically well.
Excellent. Well, just while I've got you there, Mike, we were talking before about visas. Was something that perhaps wanted to pick up that might be a bit more pertinent at the moment. It's about the EU settlement scheme, and if someone has already applied for the EU settlement scheme, how does this affect, you know, ability for student loans and financial support? someone who's in that category at the moment, what do they need to do as someone who's applied for the EU settlement scheme?
So if they've already applied for the EU settlement scheme and they're here, in terms of their support, they will have their access to student funding as a home student would, which is unfortunate, is not a luxury that is afforded for students that are coming in post Brexit that have not already applied for the settlement scheme. So they are very much treated as a home student still, and they do have access to tuition fee support for the duration of their current studies. And as well, there are numerous types of scholarships and grants that can be applied for with that to help support them with their with their lifestyle and things of that nature, which again we have links to on our website, which we can post onto this group chat here.
Just to say as well, if you are an EU national who's currently living in the UK at the moment and you have applied to study at university, we would recommend, hopefully you already have and you're aware of it, but applying for the EU settlement scheme. The deadline to apply is the 30th of June. And when we are reviewing your application and processing it through, we'll just ask you to send us, when you get the outcome, you get a share code that you can then share with us so we can access confirmation of your settled status. And then we can use that to confirm that you are a home fee payer. And you'll probably also need that to share with Student Finance England to apply for your funding.
That's excellent. Angie has had another question. I imagine she's not the only one, but she's asking about what happens if she doesn't get her anticipated grades. So I should imagine there's all sorts of year 13 students and access students who are worried at the moment about what will happen if they don't get their grades. Holly, could you just sort of talk about how grades are working this summer?
Yeah. So obviously the government has made a lot of changes to grading and the awarding of grades last year and this year. And the latest guidance is that they will essentially be teacher assessed grades. So your teachers and lecturers in school or college will be looking at work that you have completed. They might be setting assessments. There might be some types of examinations that they're looking at, and they'll be looking at all of that work that you've completed and then using that to determine a grade that should be awarded to you over the summer. That applies for access courses, A-levels, BTECs, GCSE qualifications. So we will still get grades and you as learners will still get grades at the same time as you normally would. A-level results day this year has been brought forward a little bit, which is nice for you guys as learners and applicants because it means you'll hopefully know a bit earlier whether or not you've got a place. But I think the University of Suffolk certainly, and I'm sure lots of other universities as well, are aware that this has been a really tricky time and there has been a really big impact for learners on their courses and studying and whether or not you've been able to go into a classroom or engage with learning online. So when we get your grades, we will have a look at the final grades that you've achieved. We will review your personal statement, your references. We'll probably look back at your GCSE grades as well. And then if you've applied for a course that had an interview or a portfolio review, we'll look at that performance as well. So if you don't quite meet the conditions of your offer, we'll look at all of those other things to help us to determine whether or not we think we can still accept you. Obviously, we can't guarantee that if you don't meet conditions, we will be able to accept you because we still want to be sure that university is the right option for you at that time. And when you join a course, and also you apply for funding, but university is a big financial and a big time commitment. We want to be sure that you're going to get the most out of it, but we will make the fairest assessment that we can as to whether or not you can succeed on the course. So if you don't get the grades, don't panic. We'll look at everything we can, and hopefully the outcome would be that we can accept you. We might just need to kind of look at things outside of your grades, and we might want to have a quick chat to determine that you can definitely join the course at that stage. But if that is something you're particularly worried about at this stage, then give us a ring. So give admissions a call and we can kind of have a chat with you, talk through any worries you have, and we can have a chat with the tutors kind of beforehand to just set the lay of the land out, I guess, and make sure that we're supporting you as much as possible.
Well, that sounds very reassuring. Certainly no need to panic just yet then. That's all good. Mike, Miller has been back in touch asking about the international scholarship and if it's automatically applied to the student. And I guess more importantly, what they have to do to make sure they get it.
Sure. Okay. Thanks for the question, Miller. Yes, we offer very, very generous scholarships for our non-UK based students, so our international students. In order to meet the eligibility criteria to get it, yes, you do have to apply for it. It doesn't just automatically get discounted from your tuition fees. So you have to submit an application upon your enrolment to the university. You've got to meet the entry requirements for your studies. You have to be self-funding and classified as an overseas student for fee purposes. You also have to be studying full-time, and you've got to be in continued attendance on the course in which you enroll at as well. So it's that's what I've just read out there sounds quite lengthy, but at the same time it's actually quite straightforward as well. So again, as is typical, it's not terribly stringent, but you just have to make sure that you tick those boxes, which the vast majority of our international students are eligible for that.
Oh, that's brilliant, Mike. And if Miller or someone else was worried about getting the scholarship or what they needed to do, is there any way they could contact you or your team?
Of course, certainly, yeah. So what I'll do is I'll post it. I'll see if I could do that, but it's I'll get someone to post it on the comment section. Yeah, our international email is international@uos.ac.uk. So we'll have that posted on the chat there, so everyone can see it. And if you've got any follow-up questions regarding scholarships, please get in touch.
Oh, that's perfect. Fantastic. Jenny, Patsy has been in touch asking about if we're offering any campus tours at the university. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, campus tours are available. We have got a link on our website where you can have a look at the dates and times available and book the slot that's best for you. You can let us know sort of who you wanted to speak to when you come. We can make all the arrangements for you. And I believe the department that I'm in, the Info Zone or Student Life, we're also around as well. So if you do have any questions on the day, you could always pop in and see us and we can sort of answer general questions on a wide range of subjects as well concerning university.
Oh, that sounds absolutely perfect. And I would just say, if you are going to book yourself on for a campus tour, and perhaps you're coming a little bit further away, if you're not from East Anglia or you're not from Suffolk yourself, this is the perfect opportunity to make a day of it. I know the weather's not great at the moment, but hopefully from next week, the sun might be shining. You can get yourself a campus tour. If you do it just before or just after lunch, the marina where the university is located is a perfect place to come and have your lunch. Wonderful, relaxing atmosphere. Could even stay for the day. We're only 25 minutes from the beach. So you've got the wonderful Suffolk coastline just up there. So do come along, make the campus tour the jewel of your day, but you can build your whole day around it. I guess, just thinking about if someone was coming to Ipswich for the day, and perhaps they wanted to do something other than the campus tour. Any recommendations? We live fairly local. Anything that you would recommend doing on a day trip to Ipswich or Suffolk?
Christchurch Mansion in Christchurch Park.
Fantastic.
I would say get a really lovely coffee and cake at Applaud Coffee.
Honestly, I'm a huge football fan, so ordinarily I would say go and watch Ipswich Town Football Club at Portman Road, but they have been performing terribly recently. So
onwards and upwards.
Unfortunately, we can't really use the football team as a selling point for the local area. You might want to check out Norwich City down the road.
Oh, right. No.
Can we switch Mike off, please?
I was going to say, thanks for that, Mike. The weather outside and those comments, yeah, okay. Well, fantastic from Jenny and Holly. There are things that you could do. I would say just really, if you haven't seen where the university is located, it's absolutely stunning. The waterfront, especially in the summertime, with all the yachts and the boats coming in and out, it's beautiful place to sit down. We've got bars, cafes, and restaurants all the way along the waterfront there. So a lovely spot to come and check out. So Lauren has been in touch to say that she's on an access course at Colchester Institute. And you're being assessed through assignments, not through teacher predicted grades. Not sure if that's the same everywhere.
I think access courses have been a pretty good qualification to do through the pandemic, because Lauren's right, the final grades are based on the assignments that you complete. So it's not really, as far as I'm aware, an exams based course. So I feel like in terms of assessing of qualifications, if you are doing a course where you're submitting essays and those are assigned, or you're doing a group project, obviously that can be kind of assessed by the relevant people, examiners, still during the pandemic, as opposed to an examination, which obviously hasn't been able to be held. So I think, Lauren, you're probably right. Access courses are probably still being assessed in quite a similar way to how they were beforehand. That's interesting to know that it definitely is the case for Colchester Institute. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to know the access courses are still able to do it that way. Fantastic. Mike, just with regards to international students coming to the university, you said before you had people come from all over the world doing all sorts of courses that we offer here. Which courses are most popular with international students? Is there anything that the international students tend to focus on?
Yeah, so we've over the recent years, we've carved out a real sort of niche for ourselves with a majority of our computer-based programs. In recent times, we've seen a wonderful upsurge and increase in popularity for our data science and artificial intelligence program, cybersecurity, software engineering, and amongst our EU students, computer games design has just been fabulously popular amongst those students. But that's not to negate our other areas. We have wonderful nursing programs, both adult and childhood nursing, our business programs. Also, one of my personal favorites is wildlife ecology and conservation science. I absolutely love listening in on hearing about those courses every year, because those students get to do such diverse, wonderful things as part of their program. So again, fabulous course to undertake. And again, something that's very close to my heart is the sports and exercise science-based programs, sports analysis, strength and conditioning. Those types of programs have been very popular for our EU students over the past few years as well. It's really good to say, and the fact that we have such as Owen's just touched upon there, the sort of diverse communities across our different the different students that we have coming in is that they all get to mingle, they get to share their experiences from their home countries as well, so they all get to learn from each other, and it's not just sat in the classroom learning from other sort of British students, but also our academics. They're professionals, and that's one of our key selling points as a university, is that our lecturers are not just people who have come from being students themselves and then learned to be a teacher and a lecturer. They still have a hand in the world of their profession, in their vocation. So it's really, really good for all of our students that if they're looking to get work placements, if they're looking to get postgraduate employment, our lecturers are one of the best resources to lean upon for access into postgraduate employment, because they have so many connections in their vocation and in their world of profession. So that's why I cannot speak highly enough of the quality of our lecturers. And if you're in any doubt, please look on our website, look at their biography, look at their backgrounds, look at their work history, and it's all on there. And these are the men and women that you'll be learning from. So that's our number one, I think, selling point is definitely our lecturers.
Brilliant. And just sort of bringing that back to perhaps UK-based applicants for this year. Holly, would you say that the courses that Mike mentioned as the most popular ones, would that be the same with the UK? And if so, are we still able to apply for those? Are there places still left?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So I think there is a difference between the courses that someone potentially coming from overseas and someone from the UK will apply for. And I think for UK students, it's probably a broader mix. Mike kind of touched on it earlier for international, if you require a visa in particular. There's a very lengthy process that you have to go through. And as part of the process, you have to really demonstrate that you have really thought about and are committed to your chosen course of study. So I think that's why we see kind of more specific pockets of courses that those individuals are applying for. For UK learners and clearing, though, I would say if you're interested in a health course, so something like midwifery, children's nursing, paramedic science in particular, some of those programs we might already just be recruiting for reserve lists. But I would say if you're thinking about those courses, apply now through UCAS rather than waiting until clearing, because there will be some courses where we can't guarantee that we'll be taking applications through clearing because we will have either filled all the places, or we'll probably have filled all the places and also have a reserve list of applicants who could be considered for a place, but a place isn't there. So if a place does become available, we'll get in touch with those individuals. So apply now for a health course if you are interested. And the benefit of that for a health program in particular as well is that there are other things you have to do for a health course. So as an example, you need to do an occupational health check. You need to apply for and receive back a DBS disclosure before you can go out on placement. So obviously the sooner you apply and hopefully get an offer and accept it, the sooner we can start those processes going, and it won't cause any potential delays later on when you're hopefully actually on the course. There are a couple of other courses that fit in the same bracket. So social work, we have a new course starting this year, which is really exciting, a BA Honours Childhood with QTS. So if you see a course and you're thinking about applying but you're not sure, I would say it's always better generally to apply sooner rather than later. And the other benefit, I guess, is from your end and kind of tying into those things of feeling settled in and feeling of homesickness. I think the sooner you apply and you have a place, you can kind of mentally prepare yourself to come to university and have a think about what you need to do, find out about the accommodation and know where you'll be living. So when it comes to September and you're hopefully joining us and starting your course, you'll hopefully settle in a bit more quickly and feel more settled.
Yeah, I'd certainly say if you are hoping to start this September, there's really no reason to put it off. You really need to get that application as soon as possible. And like you said, there's things that you'll need to put in place. Student finance, for example, the sooner you can do all of this stuff, the easier that transition is going to become, end of August, start of September when you come in. So I think that's good advice there, Holly. Not always necessarily best to wait till clearing, particularly if it's one of our more popular courses. Just on the back of that, Jenny, I know with the health science courses, some of them run a slightly different timetable to the other courses that we run at the university. How does that work with accommodation? Are they able to sort of change how they stay at the university?
Yes, so the different accommodation providers will offer different tenancy lengths. So, for example, at Athena Hall, they have 3 different tenancy lengths, and one of those is specifically designed for students on health courses who may have an NHS placement. So the length of that course is sort of organised for those with the slightly longer study time throughout the academic year. There's usually, as I say, more than one tenancy length. So the best thing to do is have a look at a sample timetable to get an idea of which tenancy length is right for you, depending on the degree that you're choosing, and then pick a tenancy length that's a suitable length for you. And don't be afraid to shop around. If one particular property doesn't offer a specific length that you're needing, try one of the other providers, because they'll all offer something slightly different. So it's best to sort of make sure that you get something that's right for you. So yeah, do shop around.
And just on that, are there any other tips that you could perhaps give students?
Hold on a second. Oh no, you can still see
working
me.
lights. Yeah, we can still see you. It's fine.
I'll sit by the light. No, that's worse.
So just thinking about what they perhaps should be looking for when you're comparing and contrasting accommodation. Are there any other tips? Obviously, that's a great one that you said there about some will have different contract lengths. Is there anything else you could give as a hint?
Yes, so as well as the different contract lengths, they'll all be different prices as well. So it's important that you have a look at how much student finance you're going to be getting, what you can afford to spend on accommodation. We do recommend that if student finance is your only source of income, don't spend all of it on accommodation, because we would really like you to eat for the 3 years that you're here as well. So although accommodation is likely to be your biggest expense, it will be probably your second most important expense after food. But also remember to budget for materials for your course, transport if you're needing to get around, obviously your social life as well, you'll need to budget for that. So yeah, definitely check out prices is one of the most important things. Also, the facilities in the property. As we mentioned earlier, some of the properties are en suite, have their own private bathroom. Some of them don't, and you'll tend to find that those that don't offer an en suite are usually a little bit cheaper. So if you are working to a particularly tight budget, then do consider the other options available as well. And again, as we mentioned earlier about parking, if you do need to have your car with you, then look at the properties that do offer car parking, or please leave your car at home. And if we do have anybody that has any additional needs in accommodation, any accessibility or anything at all like that, then do speak to the accommodation providers about it. Again, everybody will offer something slightly different, so don't be afraid to shop around and find what is right for you. You are an individual, you'll be the one living there, so make sure that you pick what's right for you.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Jenny. I'm just a little conscious of time. We've got about 10 minutes left. So if you have been sitting there watching and there was a question you were itching to ask and you were saving it till the end, now is the time to post your question. If you can get your questions in now, we will be able to answer them all before we finish. But really get those questions in now if you want us to answer anything. Just a couple of things to mention at this stage. You can follow us on our social media channels. You can see the University of Suffolk. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we now have a TikTok channel. So if you know what TikTok is, that's brilliant. I would definitely say go to TikTok. We also have, coming up on the 27th of May, so that's on Thursday, a course leaders hour. So we'll have the course leaders from a number of schools here at the university who will be holding a Q&A session. So if you have specific questions about courses or about the schools that you're looking to study in at the University of Suffolk, I would definitely come along to that. So that'll be on Thursday. You'll be able to see the details on Facebook or on YouTube. And again, next week, so we've got another live Q&A next Tuesday. That's in the evening. That's at 5 p.m. We'll be joined by some academics and also a real-life University of Suffolk student who you can ask questions to about what it's like to study at the university. So, yeah, a few things coming up, but get those questions in now if you want to ask us anything else before we go. Holly, Lisa has asked about the reserve list. So she's asked about, when does it start? Could you give a sort of broader overview of what the reserve list is, how it works?
Yes, I realise I mentioned reserve lists but didn't say what they were. So some courses are really competitive and they also are, I guess, a bit restricted on numbers because they might have a cap on the placements that we can offer, for example. So if we have a course that falls within that category, we will offer places that kind of align with the number of placements or places that we actually have on the course, and then anyone else that we potentially can't offer. So they might have applied after the UCAS deadline, for example, or fallen just below the threshold for a definitive offer at that point. We will offer a place on the reserve list. That decision is made by academic colleagues. So they will advise us that someone has been offered a place on the reserve list. We'll process the decision on UCAS as a rejection, but we'll say on UCAS Track that we've rejected you, but we've offered you a place on the reserve list. And then we'll send you an email to kind of explain what the reserve list is and what will happen. And essentially, if a place becomes available, we will look back at the reserve list to see who we want to and can offer that place to. We do ask you to let us know that you would or wouldn't like to be placed on the reserve list. If you don't get back in touch with us in response to the email that we send advising that you're on that list, then unfortunately we can't get in touch with you if a place does become available. Places will usually become available probably over the summer once we receive results. So once we know, for example, how many conditional offer holders have or haven't met conditions, But people withdraw from their offers at any stage. So someone might decide that due to financial reasons, they're not able to take up their place, so they could withdraw. And that could happen now, or it could happen the week or the month before the course start date. So I'd say if you are on the reserve list, we'd probably get in touch with someone to offer a place probably August, September. And then I noticed, I think Lisa was asking about a January course start, but then it could be any time up to and potentially a little bit after the course starts. If a place does become available and we want to go back to the reserve list to see if we want to take someone from there to offer that place to, we'll let the course team know who is on the reserve list, and they will look at the original interview scores, the original application, the grades received. So they'll look at the whole application again to determine who can be offered that place. So another question we get asked in admissions sometimes is, what position am I on the reserve list? Unfortunately, that's not something we can answer because it's not necessarily there's a list of people in order of 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. But if a place does become available, we will endeavour to be as fair as we can in determining who to offer that place to. But ultimately, it will be an academic decision. Like I said, they'll look back at your whole application and interview performance. I guess one thing I would say if you are on a reserve list is make sure that you're checking your emails. If you get a call from us, pick up, because it might be that we need to fill that place pretty quickly. And so sometimes we might ring up and say, we need you to get back to us by the end of the day or lunchtime the next day. And that means that we might need to fill that place quite quickly, usually if it's closer to the start date. So if we can't get in touch with you or we don't hear from you, we might have to move on to the next applicant on that reserve list. So make sure you keep your contact details up to date, that maybe you have the university number as one that you can see when it comes up. And if you get a call from that number, you do pick up and answer it, or that you're checking your emails. We'll usually email and call to try and get in touch with someone about a reserve list place. But hopefully that answers the question. If you would like to know any more, then get in touch.
That's brilliant, Holly. Thank you for going through that. I think we've got the last question of the day. So Amy's got in touch asking about when the nursing degree starts. So we spoke about this a little bit earlier on, Amy. I'm afraid we don't have the start dates yet. The timetabling is still in process at the university. So we're still trying to find the start dates for all of the courses. You will be, as soon as the information is available, it will be available there in the applicant area. So Holly mentioned this earlier on. I think if you go back through the chat, you'll find a link there for the applicant area where you'll be able to find all of the start dates, information about enrolment and induction as well. So as soon as that information is available, we will get it out to you and we'll let you know. So hopefully you won't have to wait too much longer. Okay, well, I think we're coming to the end of our hour. That's flown by. First thing I'd like to say is thank you ever so much to everyone who has been with us this morning and asking the questions. It makes our life so much easier when you're asking such great questions that you've put forward to us this morning. So thank you very much for that. Just a reminder that you can join us for the course leaders session on Thursday, where you'll be able to ask questions about specific courses we have here at the university. And join us again this time, next Tuesday, slightly later at 5 p.m, where we'll have another Q&A session where we'll have, as I said, one of the students from the university will be able to talk about what it's like to study here. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and on our TikTok channel. So, I'm sure with all of those channels available, you'll never miss a notification from the University of Suffolk. So do have a look there. And finally, a massive thank you to my 3 guests this morning. Thank you so much to Jenny, Mike, and Holly. Your answers have been fantastic. I'm sure you've set a lot of minds at ease this morning and reassured a lot of people with your answers there. So thank you very much for that. And to everyone else out there, enjoy the rest of your day and bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Bye.